Virginia is an environmentally diverse state with a wide variety of beautiful landscapes, from the Piedmont to the Blue Ridge. Virginia is a popular place to live and visit. It's the home state to 8 different presidents. Virginia is arguably the most historic state in America. But in the last 30 years, Virginia's popularity has resulted in a significant loss of land for both residential and commercial development that has overwhelmed our natural resources and challenged our way of life. To save important landscapes, property owners are taking matters into their own hands by preserving their properties through the use of conservation easements.
The idea of conservation is that you're dealing with, land that's going to be under management, and it's going to have continued use by people that are owning the property as private landowners. It's a living, breathing property that's still available for all kinds of uses. It's just limiting what can be done on a property, so when it bumps up against a protected conservation value, that there's some consideration there and some restriction.
This is all my grandfather's property when I was a kid. He had about 2,000 acres. We used the proceeds from the easement to put in fencing, install water lines, make some improvements to our home, and open our business. Got the wheels in motion.
Periodically, every year to every 5 years, you're going to hear a plan come through and someone's going to say, you know what they're going to do with that land? I think it's every farmer's nightmare of, oh God, what are they going to put in over there? Or what are they going to turn that old farm into? This whole area used to be farmed, and now it's just completely, it's parking lots and box stores. And so much of America is happy about that because they maybe don't know where the food's coming from, and we need places like this to keep feeding us.
We kind of took the attitude of, we didn't pay anything for the land, it was given to us, and by the good graces of my grandparents, and we just wanted to give back, and so more or less we almost wanted to protect the land. At some point you have to keep something set aside and save it for the future generations.
A conservation easement is a voluntary legal agreement that permanently limits the future development of the land in order to protect its conservation values forever. Thanks to our donor partners, the Land Trust of Virginia has recorded its 201st easement as of 2020 and has conserved over 22,000 acres across 18 counties in Virginia. The Land Trust of Virginia is an accredited land trust that partners with private landowners who voluntarily protect and preserve those properties with significant scenic, historic, and ecological value for the benefit of our community.
Downtown Greens was started in 1995. This is a space that anyone can come and enjoy from sunrise to sunset every day of the year. It's everybody's backyard. We provide programs for kids and adults. We garden with them in this garden you see behind us, and we see them weekly for a 7-month period. And then once a month we get a collaboration with a restaurant downtown with a chef who comes to check out what's growing in the garden and creates a meal based on that. This space, even long after Downtown Greens is an organization, this space will never be developed, and that's the part that's really special to Downtown Greens, is we're looking even past our space and our time here into the future and the legacy that we're leaving behind through this conservation easement is really important to us.
When a landowner donates a conservation easement, they maintain ownership of their land. They can sell it or pass it to their heirs. The land remains on the county tax rolls. What changes is that the land itself is protected from future development forever.
I realized the minute I set foot here that this met all our criteria. Lovely 1794 house and 28 acres of land. And this barn, which was built, we've had an expert look at it, and he believes it's just before the Civil War. We decided to get into sheep. And so we still have a small flock of sheep. They're a wool breed, not a meat breed, and a couple of guard llamas with them. And then we realized that Loudoun County was becoming an area growing wine grapes, and since we like wine, we decided to look into that possibility and ultimately did plant our vineyard, which is small by Loudoun standards, but it's fine for us.
This is the family center, kind of, I think. This is where we've had reunions and weddings and parties and things like that. So they put it into easement, and we lost my dad at the end of 2018. Just the other day, I was walking with one of my children, and I said, you know, you think someday you would want to, like, this would be your place? And he was like, yeah, maybe. I think I might, you know. So they're already attached to it, you know. Even if we someday couldn't be here for whatever reason, knowing that it exists as it exists now will always be something that is important, you know. There's that tree over there that is a white oak that we planted in my father's memory, and you know, that should be here after I'm gone, hopefully. You know, my mother's already said she wants one planted nearby when her time comes, you know. So we have a grove of trees up here someday that represents us. I don't know. We'll see.
The Land Trust of Virginia is a thriving 501c3 nonprofit organization that relies upon the generous support of our community and landowners to fulfill our mission.
Original land grant was 1703. I bought it in 1985 on the courthouse steps. It had been abandoned for 15 years. Nobody had lived here in this house. It was falling apart. It had 709 acres. We have a summer kitchen, a smokehouse, slave church, two tenant houses, and 2 gatehouses. And we leave a lot of things here open for the wildlife. I wanted to put it in easement. You know, I just thought when I die, what's going to happen to this? You know, my daughter couldn't really, she's not interested in keeping something up like this. This is a heck of a lot of maintenance. A heck of a lot. It's constant. 15 years in a row for the Land Trust, and then I've done the stable tour for Trinity Church probably 10 times at least, maybe more. The Land Trust whenever they ask me. They're a very nice group. You know, they're very easy to get along with. I have absolutely no problem with them or anything. Come inspect it every now and then. I'm glad I did it. They've treated me well. Because once it's gone, it's gone. That's the problem. I just love it too much. You have too much time, love, and money. And
We are a trusted conservation partner, recognized and accredited by the National Land Trust Alliance's Accreditation Commission as a land trust that meets their stringent and ethical standards for protecting natural places and working lands forever.
Well, my ancestors came from England. They went here in the 1760s and bought that property over there across the road. And then this property came into the family through marriage, and this piece of land is probably since the 1850s. 85, I started planting apples. Growing this orchard, it's about 5 to 6 acres of peaches. Then I got vegetables in the next field, and the last field is hay. Almost everything we sell is pick your own. You gotta keep ground for growing food. The problem is who's gonna continue after me? We haven't figured that out yet. And I haven't quite figured out how to keep the farm going because I don't have any kids. Well, we got tax credits through the state, and I was able to buy other family members out, so that now I'm now the sole owner of the property.
I walked on when I was 44, almost 44, and said, I need a job. I want to work on an organic farm. And he looked at me. He probably thought I was crazy. But he said, you mean somebody wants to work on this farm with me? And he gave me something to do. Probably something unnecessary to do, but he just wanted me to hang around. I tell people all the time, it's conserved land, that we're in a conservation easement. You have to bring it back to a more complex, much more regulated, self-regulated type of environment, because that's where you'll get all the natural complexity, and you'll put things back in equilibrium, and you'll have a stability that you can't get with anything else.
We came in 1941. Dad rented it because it was not for sale. We would go out every weekend looking at farms, and Dad would come back and say, there's no place like Silverbrook. So in '64, he actually bought it because it came up on the market. Well, my husband passed away in 2003, and And my sister said to me, you're rambling around in that big house by yourself. Why don't you open a B&B? And I said, because I don't like to make beds and I don't like to make breakfast. So she said, learn to make breakfast and get someone to make your beds. So that's what I did. And then I just really opened, and a young couple stopped by and knocked on the door and said, we would like to get married here. And I said, really? So they did, and I thought, I can do this. The weddings have become the main part of the business because it's much more lucrative than renting a room. My accountant, he said, Dottie, I want you to think about something. And so he told me about the land trust, and I got in touch, and it happened. I mean, it was, they were so wonderful to work with, so I'm very happy. Well, preservation is important, first of all, and I am so in love with this property, and my family's in love with this property, and having grown up here, it's like, you know, I just can't see it any other way. Now, someday it may, but for today, I'm happy.
While the first private land trust was founded in Massachusetts in 1891, the movement didn't really take off until the 1980s, about 100 years later. Up until then, government agencies were doing a pretty good job of saving land and creating preserves and public parks. But as the government efforts slowed down and farmlands across the country started to be sold off to developers, citizens started to take matters into their own hands, and private land trusts started to get organized. People started talking to their neighbors, asking them to permanently retire the development potential of their properties through conservation easements. Today, about 1,400 land trusts exist across the United States and collectively have saved about 56 million acres of land. Whether a conservation easement is preserving a public space or private property, we all benefit. These preserved open spaces not only contribute to our air and water quality, but they also protect important historical sites and provide critical wildlife and endangered species habitat. The Land Trust of Virginia has been working diligently to preserve open spaces since our founding in 1992. We are partners with more than 200 landowners and growing, and the Land Trust of Virginia holds more conservation easements than any other private land trust in Virginia. The Land Trust of Virginia works with communities and landowners to save the places we love, and we would like to ask you to join us.
I think we should still put our lands in conservation easement, especially in the Land Trust of Virginia, because I like the people there. That's the reason that I did it with the Land Trust of Virginia.
So I would definitely recommend the Land Trust of Virginia. We have had so many benefits come from our putting our land in the Land Trust of Virginia.
There's a market for fresh and organic. There's a market for locally grown, and so you can have a really active business that still maintains the green space.
I can rest easy and die knowing that this place isn't gonna get paved over, and that gives me great peace of mind.
You know, we're not making any more land, and so we have to conserve it. We have to conserve it.
The Land Trust of Virginia has the expertise to help you accomplish your conservation goals and leave your conservation legacy. For more information, contact us today. We would be happy to answer your questions.